Over the rainbow. But before I can tell you about this song, first we're going to need some coffee. Want some coffee, buddy? Does this smell good? Oh no. Buddy, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Ah, that's better. Do you know where bluebirds fly and the skies are blue?
Earth.
Wrong. It's the land of Oz, silly, and that's where we're going. But in order to get there, we need to go over the rainbow. And more importantly, we need to talk about what form this song is in. Yeah, but why does form matter? I mean, why should I care? And I gotta get out of here before I get a ticket. We care because this video is for my class, Form in 20th Century Techniques, and it's required. And so I have to care about form in order to get a good grade. But why should you care about form? Well, to answer that, we need to talk about something called emotional equity. My favorite composer, Martin O'Donnell, uses themes throughout his scores and musical ideas that recur in order to create what he calls emotional equity. What this means is the listener is developing ideas and attaching emotions to those musical ideas throughout the score. So then later in the score, or at the end of his piece, he can cash in on that emotional weight he's built up, and he calls it emotional equity. So what does that have to do with form? Well, I'm glad you asked. Ternary form just kind of lends itself to this idea of emotional equity. By introducing ideas at the beginning and repeating them so they get stuck in your head, and they're in there floating around somewhere, and then cashing in on them later in the piece, we're developing that emotional equity in its most basic and pure form. This lets me as the performer know what is the most important part of the music, and it lets you as the listener know what is the most important part of the music and what emotions you should be pulling away from different musical ideas. If I do my job as the performer, by the time I'm repeating musical ideas from the beginning, if I do my job as the performer, then by the time you hear repeated musical ideas from the beginning of the piece, you should be feeling way more emotional context to those ideas I'm giving to you. And that should be the most climactic and most emotional part of your listening experience. I'm going to do this video out of order, sorry professor, but I'm going to explain why. We're going to look at the score and analyze it first and develop our ideas, and that way when you hear my performance at the end of the video, hopefully you'll be able to hear those things that we talked about before through my performance, and you'll know what to listen for. But now what I want to do is take you into the weeds, into the specifics. Let's dive into the score and see why this piece is ternary form, and if it matters that it's in ternary form. All right, let's get into this score, and this might be a little weird because I'm just kind of screen recording, and I'm just going to draw all over the score. But we'll carry on. It'll be okay. Here we go. So we appear to be in E flat major. Don't see any B naturals or anything, and we're very clearly outlining E flat here. So mark it there. Okay. So we start off in tonic land. It looks like, and that carries on over here. And this to me looks like a little half cadence because we end on so right here, and it definitely feels like a half cadence. It feels like a cadence has happened, but it still feels very open, and it needs that next phrase. So we're gonna mark that HC next. And also I'm kind of cheating here because most people just kind of know what this song sounds like, so I'm not going to play it for you first. We'll just wait for the performance at the end of the video. Next we have another repeat of this opening rhythm right here, which means we can pretty confidently call that our first basic idea. It goes here. That's a terrible system break. I apologize. That's our repeat of our first basic idea, but it's different. It's been transposed down. The rhythm is the exact same. The contour is even the exact same, but it's just transposed down and shifted a little bit. So just mark that as basic idea prime. The cadential motion is also more active, and it's a repeat of this little motivic idea, getting us to what looks like a PAC. It is a little weird that it goes to mi before going back to do. I think that is an anticipation, personally. That's what I hear it as, is just an early one chord. This still, to me, feels like a 5-1 motion. So I think this whole first little section that we'll call the A section is pretty clearly a period because of this repeated idea here in the first two bars here, and obviously two different cadences. All right, our next section, we're already starting with a lot more motion, a lot more activity. We have a new just eighth note idea that'll get repeated down here. This still looks like it's just outlining one. This looks like tonic land to me. This, again, does not feel like a conclusive cadence, but I don't think it's a half cadence. To me, this seems like an IAC. Mostly due to the fact that we're landing on law, which really doesn't make much sense, but it definitely doesn't feel like a half cadence to me. I think this is actually an IAC with an added sixth, which is kind of weird, but that's what I'm hearing. And this is a show tune. It's like jazz. You can break the rules sometimes. Have some fun. Play a sixth over your one chord. Why not? I also don't feel like this could really be outlining a 5 chord. I mean, maybe I can make just a strong argument that this is added 2 of a 5 chord rather than added 6 of a 1 chord, but to me this feels more conclusive than this cadence up here. And it sounds more like an authentic cadence. Now, the following two measures, we have a repeat of this eighth note idea from up above. This time, however, in the second bar, we've got a chromatic chord being outlined. I don't think it's anything too crazy. To me, this just seems like a 5 of 5 with the F being implied and just leading us into this chord here, which I think is a B flat. That's all I think this is. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. Just a little bit of chromaticism to spice up this idea from before. And logically, if this is a period, then we should be going into another nice little PAC. Hang on now. Hang on now.
Stop it. Get some help.
This is not a PAC. Just scroll over, dude. Whatever. This isn't a PAC. It could be another IAC, because it ends on law again. But to me, this one feels even less conclusive than this one. I think this is something crazy here. I think this is a evaded cadence in order to get us back to that main idea. This one seems like it has some sort of pause effect cadence sound to it. This one feels like not a cadence at all to my ear. This seems like just getting us back to the main idea, which makes sense. I mean, this isn't the part that we're here to listen for. We're here to listen to this A idea when it comes back. And that's the main beans of this ternary form. It's getting us back to this main motive that we need to walk away singing. So to me, to my ear, this makes sense to me as just an evaded cadence to get us back to the main theme. If you disagree, that's fine. It could be another one with a 6. Again, I could be very wrong about these, but this is both my interpretations of this little section, and I think it makes more sense to me as just looking at it as a one-line melody without any chords underneath it. All right, and then that brings us back to the same section again. Basically, a complete repeat of the first section. In fact, it is a complete repeat of the first section, as it is just the A section again. The only main difference being we have this little tag ending here, but to me, this just seems like it stands alone as just a codetta or coda. I don't believe this is tonic elongation, because to me, this right here, this note, seems like a cadence. This seems like a PAC to me. The piece could very easily end there. It doesn't need to go into this section, which means it's not an evaded cadence. It doesn't seem like a one more time. It seems just like just a coda, just a little tag. And for that reason, I don't think it impacts our overall form of this piece. The coda has its own PAC over here with a very conclusive Tito motion, which I find to be much stronger than this weird me anticipation thing going on with both of the PACs during the main melody. Now, when I play this piece, the opening idea is just supposed to be clear, cut, and introducing the musical ideas of the song. On the second repeat, I should have a little bit more fun, a little bit more musicality. And then by the time we get through the change, I never marked the B section. The B section here, we've gone through a journey, we've gone on the hero's quest, and now we're back to our A section again. This is it. We've arrived. We're here. This is the main beans, the big dogs in the house. Like, we've made it. This is the melody. So I need to do everything, every tool I have at my disposal as a musician to really just drive home this section and get it in your, well, not the coda, sorry. Not that. That's not as important. But this main idea here, the one that everybody knows, that is where the main beans needs to be for my performance. And hopefully, if I do a good job, then you'll be able to hear it. Okay, so now we kind of know what we're looking at. Hopefully you'll know what to listen for whenever I'm playing it for you. But I'm going to need some help to record this, because I'm a trombone player. And trombone is very loud, which means it's very hard to record. This microphone does really good for my voice, but it would not pick up a trombone very well at all. So in order to record my trombone playing of this song, I'm going to need some help from my friend, Coffee. And I'm also going to need some help from my friend who has really good recording equipment in like a home studio. His name is Titus. All right, I'm here with my good friend Titus, who's going to help me record this trombone
vocal
song. We're in his home studio right now to make me sound a little bit better. He has his own YouTube channel. I'll post it up somewhere where you can get to it, or in the description. He makes videos about music too, and he's going to be famous soon. So get in there before he's famous. So you can say that you were there before he was cool.
You gotta be the Titus hipster.
Did you notice anything different about the last time I played the main melody? Microphone off. Right. So what did you say? What sounded different about the third iteration? Anything?
It did sound. It was like the bigs were bigger, the smalls were smaller, the vibrato was a little more intense in the last part of the song than in the blah, 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 blah. It was in the last part of the song rather than any part before that. And it brought a lot to it. It brought a lot more emotion. It brought a lot more like conclusion to the song, especially there being at the end there. So it was really nice.
I feel like the dynamics aren't picked up very well on the microphone because the microphone does a awfully good job of keeping dynamics closer together for recording purposes.
Yeah.
Did it sound at least a little bit more contrasty sitting in the room hearing me?
Yeah, for sure, man. It did.